First order of business is appointments and resignations. First appointment is to appoint Timothy Garapi as a special police officer in the Norton Police Department. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. There are two appointments tonight. One is Tim Garapi, who just recently retired from the police department. We have a policy that after retirement, they can stay on as special police officers, basically to work details. He was unable to be here tonight, but I'd ask that you ratify that appointment.
Mr. Conway, would you please read the...
Yep. From Michael Units, Town Manager, dated July 11, 2019, notice of appointment, Special Police Officer. I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that, in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual as a Special Police Officer through fiscal year 2020, Timothy Garapi. Said reappointment was made on July 11, 2019, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter, and will be effective July 26, 2019, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the Board's acceptance of this appointment with an effective date of July 21, 2019.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the appointment of Timothy Garapi as special police officer.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. And you want to take care of the second?
Sure. I'll have Jana come up. So I ask for the appointment of Jana Perez. Jana is a Norton resident. She is currently a Hingham police officer, so this is a lateral transfer. She's been a Hingham police officer since October of 2017. She will be filling the vacancy of Patrolman Shepherd, who transferred to the Mansfield Police Department. She comes with high remarks from the members of the Hingham Police Department, specifically regarding motivation level regarding, say, traffic enforcement and community policing. So I think she'll be a great addition to the police department. She has gone through an oral board interview along with a background investigation, and all the paperwork for civil service has been signed to do the effective date of September 1st.
All right. From Town Manager, I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that, in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual as a full-time civil service police officer, Jana M. Perez. Said appointment was made on July 18, 2019, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter, and will be effective August 2, 2019, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the Board's acceptance of this appointment with an effective date of September 1, 2019.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the appointment of Jana Perez.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Norton.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Welcome to Norton, Jana.
Thank you.
I'm the honorary mayor of Norton. Do the thing with you.
Okay, we have two appointments to the Highway Department. The first appointment is Derek Lutz to a driver laborer position in the Highway Department. Mr. Silva,
Everybody doing tonight?
we're doing great.
Good. This is Derek Lutz. Going to start the highway department Monday. He's seemed like a decent guy. Military. He ran equipment. He's done a lot of things that the highway department does right now. So I thought he was a good fit.
Excellent.
All right.
Mr. Conway,
I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that, in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual as a driver/laborer, Derek Lutz. Said appointment was made on July 22, 2019, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter, and will be effective August 6, 2019, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the Board's acceptance of this appointment with an effective date of July 29, 2019.
Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Derek Lutz.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
It's your turn, Keith.
What we got? No, Robert? This is Robert Toppin. He's been working for probably, this is going to be his second summer working for us in the summer help, and he's been working out very well. So he graduated from school, and we'll give him a shot. He's done well so far. He's cutting trees, doing everything I want him to do, and I think he'll be good for the town. He's got to work on his license, and I think he'll be well.
Great.
Ms. Conway.
I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual as driver/laborer: Robert Topham. Said appointment was made on July 22nd, 2019, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter, and will be effective August 6th, 2019, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to that date. However, I specifically request the Board's acceptance of this appointment with an effective date of August 5th, 2019.
Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Robert Topham.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
Okay. The board has a letter from the Norton Democratic Town Committee requesting that that Miriam Harvey, 15 Williams Road, Norton, be appointed to the Board of Registrars to fill the current Democratic vacancy. So unless anyone has any objection, Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Miriam Parvey to the Board of Registrars.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Chairs has a letter indicating that Joyce Marshall wishes to be reappointed to the Historical Commission. Does anyone have any questions? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to reappoint Joyce Marshall to the Historical Commission.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have a letter from Rosemary Dolan, who wishes to be appointed to the Recreation Commission. She would fill the space as an alternate on the commission. Rosemary's been on the commission for many years. I'm almost surprised she's not on it still, but Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Rosemary Dolan as an alternate on the Recreation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I also have a letter from Robert Salvo Sr., looking to be appointed to the Parks and Recreation, or the Recreation Commission. Mr. Salvo would be take the permanent slot on the Recreation Commission. Chair will entertain a motion to appoint Robert Salvo Sr. as to the permanent Recreation Commission slot.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
One was the alternate and one was a permanent?
Yes.
How was that decided?
The alternate isn't here in the winter, so
She goes to Florida, goes south for the
Okay.
winter, so where Mr. Salvo's here year-round.
Sure.
Okay. I think for now, I'd like to skip over the licenses and permits and get into the new business, because we've got people that have been waiting here patiently for us. And so we'll start with the town clerk, who wishes to discuss changing of polling places. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. A couple of things, if I may. First, I am requesting to think about moving our town elections to Saturday. I think we'll get more people, it will ease up on the traffic, and we don't have school issues. So, if up for discussion?
Personally, I think it's a good idea. I know I've seen, when I drive through other towns, a lot of towns seem to be moving in that direction, just, I think, to get more participation.
I think so. I think you might have it in your packets. I went through all the Masstown clerks, and I've got emails from them on what they do on their Saturdays, who runs the Saturday town elections, and their hours.
How many did you get back?
I don't know, what have I got, about 20, 25?
Okay.
I don't really see a disadvantage, and the fact that school is not in session, I would think would make the school happy to host the, happier.
Happier.
To host the
That's my
polling
next.
places.
Would there be any change to the hours?
Well, that's up for discussion. You'll see some of them go 8 to 8, some of them go from 7 in the morning till 6 at night. I mean, that's going to be your decision on how you want to do it. Personally, I mean, if we went from 7 in the morning till 6 at night on a Saturday, I do know that on the town elections, for the participation we get on the town elections, it's very costly, and you've got the poll workers there for 14, 15 hours, and you know, so it's up to you people, I guess, on what you want for hours.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be 7 to 6. That would be my
And
recommendation.
our current is 7 to 7?
7 to 8,
7 to 8.
yeah.
It seems like, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
That's all right.
It seems like some of the town clerks that got back to you were actually suggesting to you that their hours are longer, but that they would go shorter in a couple of the emails that I saw.
Yes.
I mean, one is 8 to 3, and that's not a very long day at all.
I think that's probably one of the smaller towns.
I do like the idea at 7, because I think a lot of activities on the weekends tend to start at 8, 8:30. So it would give people the ability to come beforehand.
Yeah, and they can bring their kids with them, too, on a Saturday, you know, it's,
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to move it to Saturday, and I'm fine with the 7 to 6, where not everyone, but the majority of people, if they work, should be able to either go before or after, and not being a weekday, and people don't have to come from Boston and fight the traffic. They should be able to make it within those hours.
I'm a fan of symmetry, so I like 7 to 7. I think that's nicely balanced.
You like 7 to 7?
I do.
We can do that
That's
if you'd like.
fine, you can do that.
Do we have the option for absentee ballots for town election?
Oh, there's always absentee ballots.
Okay.
Yes, there's always absentee ballots. The only thing that's not allowed by the state is early voting for town elections yet. That's not there yet. But, you know, most definitely absentee ballots.
I mean, Jack, I have to say, I don't know if we would need 12 hours on a Saturday. You know, I think we had the later hours because of people commuting. I mean, I would just give consideration, because it's quite a long day for
Yeah.
those working it.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think that changing the, change is always a problem. Somebody's going to complain about it. So changing the day to a Saturday is a big step for us anyways, and then changing the hour. So we could change the date and put the hours in place, what we think, maybe, what did we say, 7 to 6, and see how they go. We're not tied into those hours. We can always change the hours for the next
That's right.
election, right? If we
Right.
find
Can always
nobody's coming in
change.
after 4 on a Saturday because they can get in the morning and
Right?
Well, Chair will entertain a motion to change the town elections to Saturday with the time of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So moved.
second.
Any more discussion? I mean, we changed them several years ago. They used to be on Monday. So, I mean, we're still trying to find a day that people are willing to come out and vote, so. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. That was the easy one, right?
That's the easy one. Here we come.
Okay.
So, can I just ask one question about, so how do we start notifying people that,
Okay, this is my, if I can get into my second thing here, and then I can explain how we would have to go about it. The high school has asked me to not hold any more elections there. I am out of the high school. They have suggested the middle school, but the parking, the Yale School is more appropriate. I spoke with Keith, and evidently the elections before my time were held at the Yale School. We have an absolutely huge year next year. We have 4 elections, and we got the presidential primary, we got the state, the regular state, and we've got the presidential election. And I would say the best bet right now is where we can't have the high school would be to go to the Yale School. I looked at the Yale School. The gymnasium is a bit smaller than the high school. But where are we going to go? I can check out the Clark Recreation at Wheaton to see if they let us use their gymnasium there. I'm going to do that tomorrow, make a phone call to President Hano and see what he has to say. But we've got to get out of there, and we have to have a place put in before February, before the presidential primary. Back to notifying the residents. First of all, where we move to another polling place, I have to have, the state has to approve it. Town election, they don't have to approve, but what we have to do is we have to do written notification to all the residents. So if we change the polling hours in the polling place, it would all go out in one thing to all the residents. We'll put it on the emergency alert system. I'll Twitter it on the town clerk's Facebook and Twitter account, and we'll just get it out there. It'll get out there.
Peter Channel.
I'm sorry?
In the Peter Channel.
And, yes, Peter, of course.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman? Oh.
Yes.
What objection would the school have with us, or the school department have with us conducting an election in the high school on a Saturday?
Well, I think they would allow that, but my thought is I think it's going to confuse the residents, and I don't think that
All the questions.
they're going to go to the high school for town election, and then they're going to go,
Oh, right, 'cause
you know what I'm
it's the state
saying?
elections, yeah.
The state elections are every 2 years.
Right.
And then the off year, like it was this year, was the town election, and that's all, unless there's a special called for some reason. But they don't want to see it for security reasons.
Do you have a question?
I did, kind of on yours, I had some questions, Mike, but I'm not sure I understand the answer. So I thought that the reason they didn't really want us in the schools was security reasons, but if we do it on Saturday, then I don't see what the security reasons are. But
But we're
I'm not-
talking about state and federal elections.
Yeah, which is Tuesday.
State elections
oh, and
in
those
town.
are Tuesdays.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Now, the only-
We don't have the
Right.
power to change those.
But are the federal elections, don't they, we don't, school's not in session for those, right?
Well, yes. The schools normally close for presidential elections. I'm going to request to close for the presidential primary. I don't know if they will close for the presidential primary. And then we have just the state Senate elections and reps in September. That's every 2 years, and this is, 2020 is the 2-year coming up. So it's a heavy year. So I don't think we should be going from one school to the other. It's just going to be
Yeah,
crazy.
I agree with that, but I would like to hear from who's ever making this decision on why they want us to move from the high school, and then understand what different security measures are needed at the elementary school. I mean, I have to say, I'm more comfortable with older kids and adults being in an older kid, an older child environment. That's totally not the right language, but you know what I mean, than putting them in an elementary school. I think I would just like to understand when they're reasoning before we make a
Okay,
decision on
no, I
where to go.
agree. Dr. Bayetta is back from vacation on Monday. Wade Lazard is on vacation. The facilities manager for the school department is on vacation next week. The week after, he is going to contact me for us to get together and have a meeting, and I would so welcome any one of you guys to please come to give your
Is our
input.
next meeting, can we have an agenda item to have them here?
Can we
talk
do
about
that?
it?
Yeah? Okay,
Would that be okay?
I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, I can understand it might be easier, but I don't know where the classrooms are being utilized.
Right.
Because you can isolate the entrance to the gymnasium in the Yale School probably easier than the high school. But I don't know what they do with students in the front of the building. I don't know if they, I don't really know what
Right.
students are housed in what rooms over there.
Well, I'd like to understand the other impacts too, like what will the impacts to traffic be, the parking? I mean, they're right next to each other, so traffic, I mean, I
Traffic
would think
is-
now you're gonna have two exits and entrances with.
I think you're going to have traffic wherever you go.
Yeah, you will, but,
We're going to have the early voting. There's going to be early voting here for February. There's going to be early voting for the state and then for the presidential. I think where early voting is out now and people are well aware of it, the first time they did it was the presidential 3 years ago, and we had over 3,000 come in here early voting. So I wouldn't be surprised if that doubles for next year. I really wouldn't. Which would ease, anything will ease up the traffic problems. They're going to have traffic issues,
right.
so. Go ahead.
For years, we had the town meeting at the Yale School, and we had all the voting at the Yale School. We had that big parking lot still there. You'd park, go in. It would be, I think, fourth and fifth precinct on this side, and then 1, 2, 3 on this side, and it always worked at the Yale School. I mean, I think what happened was they built the middle school, and they said, okay, let's have the town meeting at the middle school because it's more comfortable. That's what happened. And then after that, we did the high school, and we started having it at the high school. But I don't think there ever was a problem at the Yale School. They just moved it because it was older. They wanted a better place for people to sit and be comfortable.
Well, for several years, we had the Yale and the high school.
That happened too, right, when it was
Yeah.
overflowing.
Yeah, there were 2 precincts in Yale
Right.
and 3 in the high school, just to make things, and most people don't realize what precinct they are in
Right.
until they go in to the foyer, and so you had people going in the wrong buildings.
And that tends, if you split your polling places, that tends to become very expensive also. It's more, yeah, a significant amount more
Right, because of police details.
police details, yeah, and, yeah.
The middle school, there's no parking.
Right.
It's
No.
just to be crazy.
Not many,
People
middle
all over the
schoolers
place,
drive to
growing
school.
grass, and it's gonna be, it just ain't gonna work there.
Yeah.
Especially with the elections this year coming up.
Okay, so
Okay.
we can table the decision on the polling places until we can meet with you and Dr.
Okay,
Baer.
all right, I think that's great. Thank you, appreciate that.
Anything else?
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you very much. Next is a discussion with the Permanent Building Committee regarding plans for the new town hall and the community center. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Not too bad.
We are here tonight in asking to meet with you concerning our letter that came out in June. And several of the items in the letter have already been addressed. Thank you, Mike, for the work on that. But the building committee needs to move forward with these 2 buildings. And in our correspondence, we did ask that the town prepare and issue an RFQ to solicit qualified and experienced firms to prepare a site selection study, to come back with 3 to 5 preferred sites that could house one or both of these buildings together. We asked that the selection study include items such as placement and orientation of the buildings, parking, circulation, general subsurface soil conditions, past land use and potential for subsurface contamination, utility services, wetland resources, areas and impacts, potential purchase price, and other factors if those sites are not currently municipally owned property. So at this point in time, the building committee is asking the Board of Selectmen to approve a site selection study for these buildings. We have the plans. We know what they're going to look like. We just need to find a piece of property to place them individually or together, probably individually. A site selection survey does cost money, and so we would be needing to go to the October town meeting to receive, we're thinking between 50 and 75,000 out of the already set aside money for this feasibility. You know, so we're not asking for new money somewhere. But we really need to move forward with this, and we need the Board of Selectmen to take some action on this.
Any questions?
I have questions.
Okay, Renee. Ms. Dell.
So I like your comment about looking for 3 to 5 sites.
Yes.
One of the things that I thought, you know, with the project before is that the town just didn't have options, right? I think the Vision Center, like going to that informational session and seeing 3 different options, showing the pros and cons was good. I'd like to set the expectation that that happens with this as well.
Okay.
So that we have, you know, we have some options to look at and townspeople can weigh in on what the best approach is. I know you said individual, you're looking for individual or a site that can accommodate both buildings?
We are completely open. The way things are looking right now, to be honest with you, it's a site for the town hall and a site for the senior center. So we're looking for 2. If a 20-acre parcel is created out of the center of town where we could place both buildings, then of course we would beeline for that. But right now, we're looking for 2 individual spots.
Okay, and I think in that letter you had mentioned that it would include parcels that we potentially don't own right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we want to look at every available option within the town.
Okay. And I have a question too, like during the information sessions previously, a lot of the talk was, you know, these are community centers, they could be used for the kids to go after school, you know, do activities, whatever. But if you're looking for the same type of design for the building, what opportunities are there within that design to accommodate different age groups?
That is something that we would have to explore, you know, a little, maybe expand on it again. What we were thinking previously was use of the community rooms after the 2 departments had closed for children. We're also looking for intergenerational programming, you know, something, you know, for a senior center perhaps with close proximity to a school where you could do intergenerational programming during the day. Part of the experience that I had was students coming over, interacting with teachers. History and English departments did oral history by talking with the seniors. The seniors provided art instruction if needed. It was a really, but they were across a driveway from each other, so there was a lot of interaction going on. But I think that's what we're kind of envisioning, you know. But it does have to be a facility for the senior center, a facility for the town hall, where we can add in intergenerational programming for both of them.
Okay. Do you anticipate that you'd have to change the design? Like, and I'm only asking because from a budgeting perspective, like, should we anticipate?
I don't think we'd have to change it that much. It would just maybe be a tweak. It depends on the piece of property we have, too. I mean, the 2 buildings are designed with a certain orientation. We may have to flip the orientation. We may have to rotate it 90 degrees, and that's all within this process. That's why we need a site selection survey to know where we're going to put these plans.
Okay, are there any requirements for like outdoor areas for either of the buildings?
There are no mandated requirements other than adequate parking. And adequate is up for grabs with the building codes. You know, they're never adequate after you build buildings. The usage will more than double. So I think we're looking definitely for a site that can accommodate, in the terms of the senior center, 80 parking spaces. You know, for the town hall, probably, you know, the same amount. So it's a juggling act to find, you can find a parcel to plop a building on, to put everything else on the site that you need for the building to function. That's where it gets a little tricky, and that's why we want to do a site survey.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just interested in like more recreational, like outdoor activities, even indoor.
Oh, passive outdoor recreation, absolutely. You know, I think the town needs green space that is outdoor recreation passive. It's one of the highlights in senior services now for aging in place and keeping active, so.
What's an active outdoor area considered?
Well, I know in one council on aging that I built, it was the high school football track, which was right out the back door, and seniors went around. There was an arrangement that they could use the gym during the day when the PE classes weren't there, so we didn't have to build a gym in the council on aging center. There is also art, painting, pottery, speech, Annenberg, continuing educations, computer generations, coding. Seniors are interested in a lot more than just a travelogue.
Right.
So recreation doesn't necessarily mean put on your track suit and sneakers and get out there. It's more of a holistic concept of it.
And can I ask you too, Dinah, I know there's conversation even, I think, in the fact document that made a reference to the operational expenses.
Yes.
That they weren't anticipated to change, which I find that's very difficult. Is that something that you can be sure to address within your review?
We will
Maybe not
definitely-
at this stage, but
Yep.
future? I mean, I think the buildings are significantly larger, and I think that cost can change.
The costs can change, but I think you will be surprised at how close it will stay to the same. Both of the buildings, this town hall and the council on aging, are heat
Not
sinks.
efficient, right.
And you may find that you're actually, while you expect it to go up $10, it actually goes up $4.50, compared to the size building with what you've got, just because of the efficiencies.
Any other questions?
So we'd appreciate an article in October.
Okay. I believe our next order of business is to set the fall town meeting, and I'm sure Mike will put an article on.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's two other things that
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch base. Looking back over the history of the building committee and going through the bylaws and the past minutes, it is in the bylaws, section 2020, section A, item 3, that the building committee conduct an envelope study of all municipally owned buildings in town. And back in 2017, 2018, 2017, $70,000 was appropriated for that. The building committee did begin it, and it kind of fell by the wayside as the feasibility studies and the town hall and the senior center went on. We will be moving on that so that the appropriation from town meeting will be expended, and
Okay.
we'll have a good idea of what municipally owned buildings actually look like.
Okay.
And the third thing is the committee would like to thank you very much for appointing the temporary members. They're going to be very valuable, and we look forward to working with them.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diana, as I understand it, the estimates for these buildings, whether they're together or apart, are somewhat independent of the site they end up on, is that right?
Yes.
What is your plan at this point, looking for funding for that? To get that money appropriated so that the activity could begin looking for grants and such?
Well, once we have a site and
Dinah,
we
I'm sorry.
have a,
Dinah?
yes.
Can I just ask, can you repeat the question? Because I don't know that he was actually picked up on the audio.
Okay. Peter from the Council on Aging Board wants to know how we go about appropriating money to actually build these buildings as we're going through this process. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I mean, we went through an exercise in June at a
Just come
town
up to the
meeting,
microphone.
which
Yeah,
didn't make a whole lot of sense.
could you come, yeah, just,
You can go right up there.
I think, just to step ahead, one step, I think once they locate it, it's my understanding that they're not tied in, these footprints, the plans they have are not cast in stone, but are models of what they would like. And that they do have the flexibility, when they get into the final stage, to make an adaptation, they can adapt it to try to hit a price target possibly, by using maybe different building materials, by tweaking the footprint, the layout of the building. So I think that,
Well, I was just asking, is it makes sense to have a parallel effort of voting for that funding in parallel with actually finding a site? Because it sounds like the estimates are somewhat independent of what the site is or whether the two buildings are together or not. And the advantage of doing that would be you could go out and start finding grants now. Start that ball rolling.
right,
You know, we went through kind of a head-scratching exercise in June at that meeting when we spent most of the time talking about the thing we weren't voting on, which was the site. It was disappointing that it wasn't made clear at that meeting that the amount of money needed was somewhat independent of the site.
right,
And I'm saying, can we get kick-started again?
okay.
And I guess what I'm asking, if there's a plan or a thought about doing that.
So I
Does that make sense?
Point of clarification, I believe the $27 million or whatever it was, 26.8, assumed that there was no cost for any land as well as the utilities were included in that estimate. So the fact that it's not tied to that site, you now need to account for property acquisition costs, you need to reconsider sewer connection fees. So I think in general terms, that number is probably close-ish, but you would definitely need to redo the estimates depending on where these buildings go.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just asking, is there a way to break that out where you could deal with that somewhat independent of the site, so that, just to get the ball rolling on getting grants and, you know, that type of thing, which would probably drive the cost down.
Right.
Usually, if I could, you know, what we're dealing with now is feasibility study, and we're trying to get as close as we can get to the actual cost. And I think we need to stay on that track and figure out how much and where. And that is what you then take to a town meeting and ask them to vote on. I think town meetings should and historically like to vote on very concrete items where they know where their money is going. After we have a successful vote, because I'm still convinced we're going to, and then you move into the construction document phase. That is where you make adjustments to your building. You know, do we want to add this? Do we want to add that? You know, what are the costs here? What are the costs there? And that's the money that you then take out for a bid for a general contractor and all the subs. But I think it is best to ask the town meeting with a concrete plan, a concrete feasibility study. This is what we want the money for. We will be applying for grants. Construction, you know, after a successful vote, you usually have a year of document preparation before you actually put a shovel in the ground. So there is plenty of time for grant preparation, grant, you know, applications and fundraising to reduce the cost, because what you're asking town meeting to vote on is the absolute maximum that they're going to be asked to pay. So I do think it's better to go in and wait for the grants after you know exactly what you're going to be asking people to fund. Because right now, we wouldn't have a concrete plan to present to a grant writer or a grantor that says this is what we're going to do until we go to town meeting. There's nothing worse than getting a grant and then saying, oops, they decided not to do it. So I think this linear process is the best way to go. I appreciate the dual thoughts and encourage that in the future, but I think we need to take that step by thoughtful step to thought by step. We are asking the taxpayers for a lot of money, and we need to be responsible as we do that.
Any questions or comments?
Dana, just one question, that budget item that had a $0 amount, if there's any sort of a demolition, just make sure that we account for that sort of hazardous removal.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we look forward to seeing what the warrant article looks like.
Okay. we have to set a fall annual town meeting.
Would recommend that the fall town meeting be set for Monday, October 21st, at the high school. And by setting that tonight, you would be opening the warrant, and articles would be accepted until 3:30 PM on August 27th.
What was that
Say those
date,
dates
Mike?
again. I missed them.
October 21st.
And the holiday's the week before?
Right,
looks
the
like?
14th.
That's town meeting.
And articles will be accepted up till when?
Articles will be accepted up August 27th, 3:30 PM.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to set the fall annual town meeting for October 21st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, excuse me, I want to amend that. In the high school auditorium at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, Mike, since we just said it, can we make sure we have an article for the zoning for BOG?
Say that again,
The
ma'am.
zoning for BOG, I want to make sure that that article, I'm nervous
Yeah.
about that, so, perfect, thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
ask, if we have articles that we want to appear on, like, do we have to put it in the agenda so we can talk about it here? Or how does that work? Shoot you an email?
Shoot me an email.
Okay.
It's going to depend on what we're talking about,
Okay.
okay? But it's probably something that, if you have something that you want to bring up for an article, shoot me and copy Jen, and
Okay.
we can put it on a meeting agenda. That's probably the best thing.
Okay, thank you.
We're waiting for a presentation for Brammer Bio, a part of Thermo Fisher Scientific.
Mr. Chairman, we have representatives here tonight from Brammer Bio, and we're excited to say that they are looking to develop a manufacturing facility in Norton. And I had a call from the State Economic Development Office, and this is one of their priorities to get this development going. And so we have representatives here tonight from the company that would like to talk to you a little bit about the company.
Okay?
And
I know it's on South Washington.
yes,
We're,
come on. I'll put it up.
good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Feel free, if you just want to sit at the table.
Yeah, if you want to sit at the table, that way if you want to make remarks, the microphone, we
Right.
won't turn that microphone
You make a
off.
remark?
Even though Jay's sitting there, we won't turn the microphone off.
Well, good evening. My name is Mark Bamforth. I'm the former president and CEO at Brammer Bio. Actually in the process of completing the transition of the company over to Thermo Fisher, which is one of our largest employers in the state, and in fact, a large employer anywhere in the world. I'd like to talk to you about what we'd like to do here in Norton with the facility. Does somebody have control of the deck? Okay, great.
Just kick me.
So maybe I can just take a minute and then explain what it is that we do. So we make products that are gene therapy products. So these are products that are used to treat many rare diseases that are based on a genetic flaw that somebody has, that they've inherited. There are also diseases that are acquired, such as cancer diseases that can be treated in this way. So what we do is we manufacture the products. We don't own these products. They've been developed by biotech or pharma companies, and they come to us because we have the expertise to manufacture them. So what we're looking to do is to build what will be a third commercial facility, because we're actually the largest company in the world that are making these products for others. So again, the product consists of manufacturing a viral vector. It's actually a disabled virus that can't cause disease, but it's a means of transporting genetic code into a patient, into their cells. You either do it within the patient's body, and it goes into cells and fixes an error that's there, or it can be used with cells that have been taken out of the body and can be fixed outside of the body and then given back to the patient. And there are some examples of products that are actually approved today. There are a few products, but many more that are in the pipeline. Some of them are, again, for treating rare diseases that cause blindness. There are other ones that cause muscular wasting on patients, and about 6,000 diseases that have been identified to date. So what we do, our vision is to basically help bring these cures to patients. And again, they're not our products. We're providing a service to the companies that own these products. Today, Brammer Bio is about 600 people, and we were acquired by Thermo Fisher about 3 months ago. And part of them acquiring Brammer was to support this ongoing growth and to build a third commercial facility to support these products. We make a number of different vector products. We have a facility in northern Florida where we've been for 13 years. We do the early stage work there. We have a facility in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is the former Biogen facility. We took that over about 2.5 years ago. And we have a facility in Lexington, Massachusetts that we acquired about 3 years ago. And both of those are commercial manufacturing facilities, and this would be our third commercial manufacturing facility. Many of the companies we work with is not public, but a number of them are public that we're working with them, and you can see some of the examples here from obviously large companies like Biogen, but other companies that you may or may not be familiar with their name that are based in the state, like Sarepta, Voyager, Bluebird Bio, that are based in the Cambridge cluster of biotech, and then others that are elsewhere in the US or in Europe. So what is this facility? Well, basically, we will invest a large sum of money in the facility, about $150 million, to build out the manufacturing capacity. We'll hire between 250 and 350 people to run this facility. And then there's an opportunity to add further to it. But that's the first phase that we plan to do. These are skilled jobs. Many of them are graduate level jobs, but as we establish the manufacturing and we get into more routine manufacturing, there'll be others that can come in with an associate's degree covering manufacturing, laboratory-based jobs, warehousing, as well as other support functions, finance, HR, safety, etc. So our plan is to complete our site selection now and move ahead with our design. It takes about 6 months to do detailed design and all the permitting, and then be able to really start most of the construction work would take place next year, with some going into the beginning of 2021. And we'd expect to be fully operational around the middle of 2021, at which point we'd be up around 200 jobs and then continuing to grow. Next slide. So this really, I can't emphasize enough, is a pretty unique facility. There are very few of these anywhere in the world, and we'd like to bring this next one here to this town. And we recognize as well, of course, there's already some biotech companies in your community, and we'd be pleased to join with them in making this a destination for maybe other manufacturing that could be based here. As well as bringing the jobs, we have a workforce that likes to be engaged in the community, and we hear already that companies like Alnylam are active doing that, and we'd want to participate in the same kind of community-based activities. As well as the fact that we will have clients that come and visit, as well as employees that come from the other sites, so use of hotels, restaurants, etc., is highly likely. And we operate 24/7, so we end up with shifts that go overnight as well as over weekends. And so some of the workforce schedule for getting to work is spread out. Plus people would start in shift work normally at 6 a.m. in the morning, that they're starting and finishing at 6 at night, and then others coming in at 6 at night. So it spreads that out a bit and doesn't mean that everyone's trying to get to site for 8 or 9 a.m. And, you know, we've been highly involved in mass bio in terms of the growth of biotech in the state. I've been on the board there for about 17 years. The person who's currently running the business now is part of Thermo Fisher. He's actually chair of the Mass Bio Ed, which is the independent 501c3 focus in education, really trying to encourage as many people to follow a STEM career if that's their interest, and find jobs here within the state. The facility is positioned just off the 495, and so gives an opportunity as well to show Thermo Fisher's name. Again, a very high quality company in our industry. And next slide, please. And this is, again, an artist's rendition of what the facility might look like from the entranceway into the facility. So this will be a high-tech facility, not a big warehouse building, but really made to represent really the quality and importance of the products coming out of it. And so the history of Branner Bio, now part of Thermo Fisher, is, again, we've been operating for over 13 years, first in Florida, and then adding the sites in Massachusetts. We doubled our capacity in Florida, and we went from 100 employees to 250. 3 years ago, we had 2 employees in Massachusetts. Today, we have about 350 in the 2 facilities I mentioned, and those 2 facilities, we're continuing to add employees there. And so if you fast forward to 2021, we're the largest company focused in this sector of the industry and supplying these products worldwide. And we'll be approaching 1,000 people in Massachusetts at that point. And really, we're aligned to try to help the companies we serve to bring these products to help patients. So want to thank you for your time this evening, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Go ahead, Renee.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Can you talk a bit about, I saw in there it said a highly secure facility. Can you talk about that and some of the infrastructure that you expect to have to support the building?
Sure, and the security is primarily around the perimeter of the building itself, so key card access. We want to obviously make sure it's employees that are coming in or escorted visitors, and we would expect visitors, clients would come to site, for example, and we can give them access to certain areas. So it's really primarily about the protection of the products that we're making and the security of these. Obviously, these are life-saving products potentially, and we want to make sure that they're controlled. They're kept in very cold conditions, minus 80 degrees C, and so it's important that only personnel of the right training have access to those areas. So it's really about perimeter security and internal security.
Mm-hmm. And then are there any, like you said that you're producing viral vectors,
Right.
which aren't active. Are there any safety concerns or like hazmat procedures that you have to put in place?
Right, so there are 4 levels of safety to do with making biological materials, and the first 2 levels are pretty much standard in our industry for what people are working on, and that's the area we work in. So there are higher levels where you have to wear, hazmat suits or breathing apparatus. We don't deal with anything like that. We're not dealing with infectious materials as you would get in those higher levels of safety. We have a very robust safety program, so we have a site safety committee which reviews any product that's coming to site before it even gets there to say, is this acceptable? Is it within the safety levels we have? So it has to go through this formal assessment and release, basically confirmation, sign off that it's safe to use within our normal parameters. So that's been very well developed over years, and there are national guidelines as well that we follow for that.
Okay.
Okay? And then further to that, we filter all the air coming into the facility, HEPA filter it so that we don't bring any particles or contaminants in. And we also filter all the air coming out, so we're really cleaning the air of Massachusetts.
Can you do
It's
anything
part of our
about our water?
service. About what?
Anything about our water?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we can do about that, no.
Can you talk a little bit about the community re-engagement or reinvestment that
Sure.
you guys do? I saw the stem up there, I think it said for
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club. Can you just talk to
That's
some of
right.
that?
Yeah, so maybe to give you a couple of examples of what we do in Massachusetts today, we're involved in a number of different organizations. There is a Boys and Girls Club in the Boston area that we support. We've supported people who've done fundraisers for them, like run marathons, as well as gone and we've had people come in. So we've had high schools bring pupils in to see what manufacturing looks like, and maybe they're interested in a STEM career, so encourage them to go that direction. We bring in a number of interns each year from local colleges who again get the experience of working for 10 or 12 weeks within the environment, and again help them think, is this a career that they want to pursue? And then there are other community things. What we try to do is encourage employees to follow their passions. So if they're focused on a particular disease because their family suffered from it, or they just think that it's something that needs more funding or support, we'll match funding that they can raise up to a certain amount, as well as donating directly to support that. So again, it's really encouraging employees, and not everything's about disease. It can be Earth Day and doing work in the community around the environment, etc. So we try to encourage employee-led activities in their local community.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Mike, you had it up. Where exactly is this? Brad, you started talking about the location. Where exactly is this planned
Between
for?
South Washington and 495, exactly where along there, I'm not...
176.
176.
176.
It's,
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
The lady.
It's before my time.
it was Mazda,
house, it's about a mile
and
down.
then it was,
Right.
Right after Hill Street on your left.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
and after Mazda, it was,
Oh, the Bodic, no.
yes,
Yeah, Bodic Road?
Bullet Road.
yeah.
Okay.
And right now, the building's assessed at 9 million. It's been going, because they haven't been able to sell the building. And with this development, the planned final assessment would be up around $60 million after all said and done with their work. So I know that one of the things that we'd like to do in order to work with the company is a TIF. And in order to do that, we would have to set a special town meeting because October will be too late for their timeline in choosing their location. And so we were looking at a town meeting, a special town meeting on August 26th in order to accommodate their timeline.
Now, have you had preliminary talks about the TIF?
We've had preliminary discussions to have a TIF similar to what we did with Alnylam, where it would be 50% the first year, so that we get the new growth. And then the years after that, we still haven't finalized everything, but you'd have a couple of years that would be in the 90 to 95% range, then down to the 80s, then 70%, 60%, 50%, 40, and then down to 30 in the last 2 years.
And what's the duration of the TIF?
The TIF, the duration would be 13 years. And that's one of the
So
things.
3 years of construction or?
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we're working on, the difference between a 10-year TIF and a 13-year TIF. Can we lower some of the percentages in some of those years in order to spread it out like that? So, and as soon as I get a final presentation of the TIF numbers, I'd get them to you.
Okay.
So, you would have to vote on the article at your next meeting,
Okay.
the 8th.
So tonight, we're just looking to set the date for a special town meeting for the town citizens to vote for or against the TIF.
Mr. Chairman, are you evaluating any additional communities, or are you focused on this site?
Yeah, we have another site that we've evaluated and done environmental assessment, and we actually have an agreement ready for that one. But our preference is to come here. Okay. This is certain advantages to us in terms of location, access. Frankly, for workforce, we think this is a better location.
And I know the state reps want to talk on it, but I did get a call from the Mass Office of Business Development, who was really pushing the project and really working with us with the utilities and everything else to help them out in their investigative process, so.
Ms. Steele?
Sure.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, so thank you very much for your interest in Norton, for coming here tonight. The presentation was very good. Made what could be kind of a difficult subject very easy for me to understand since I'm not a science person. It's exciting to think about somebody like BioBrahma or Thermo being in the town of Norton with some of our other high-quality companies that have come in the past few years. So I'm excited about this opportunity for both of us, because I think we have a lot to offer your company, too. I'm a little bit concerned about the tight timeframe, which I don't think is unmanageable, but what I would like to try to head off is, are there any concerns that we might have from the public that we would be able to address within the next 2 weeks before our next meeting? For example, I already know South Washington Street is going to be traffic. Would there be a study? We've had an ongoing issue there with the amount of cars going down there and the speeds. We haven't really dealt with it very well. So I think that would be one of the biggest complaints that we're going to hear from people. Just wondering if maybe we can head that off before we have to talk about it at town meeting, like if we could address that at the next meeting when we actually look over the TIF. What will we expect for traffic? I mean, you did a great job explaining that you're going to be more around the clock, so we're not going to have 250 employees coming off of 495 down South Washington Street. But any additional traffic, with the traffic we already have going down there, is going to be a bit of a problem for, the people that live on that road are like really obnoxious.
Did you really say that?
She did say it.
But no,
Make
so
sure you
that,
quote her on that one.
What?
That was mean.
I mean, I personally, I
Very
would,
obnoxious, Peter.
I would assume a lot of the traffic's gonna come in behind the Holiday Inn,
that
but
would be good to know in that meeting
But-
if there's.
I don't know, because GPS takes you
I
off
know.
of exit 10, not Bay
I
Road.
know, I went to Newport with my daughter Monday, and GPS was taking her the wrong way.
Right. I mean, I can tell you, when I first moved there, one of the first conversations I had with Bob Kimball was about the trucks, like the semis going down the road.
Yeah.
The engine brake, the fact that they don't stop at Plain in South Washington when you have a school right there. Right, we don't have sidewalks. I mean, that certainly, 300 employees is going to add traffic to that area. So I think it's a great question to bring up for the obnoxious residents on that street.
Just, I mean, aside.
Get you
thing,
some information on it.
Get that, and I know at one time, one of the other industrial companies down that way was talking about paying to have a traffic light put on Miles Standish Drive, I believe it is.
Condyne, as part of their last, and I'll ask them about this, as part of their last MEPA process, I think it was agreed that they would put a light down at the intersection of Miles Standish Boulevard, and I'm not sure, what's the road
It's
called actually in
the
town?
end, the end of South Washington.
Yeah.
It's like industrial or something.
Hungry Road.
Yeah. The idea being that that would make coming in from that
Right.
and
And
exiting much more appealing to the people.
Leaving most important.
Yeah.
that-
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, I mean, if we get an idea of
The
where that's.
status of that.
Yeah, because I think that would help alleviate some of the concerns of residents in South Washington Street. if they know that, I know myself, I would probably go down South Washington to 123, but if there was a light to help me get out, I'd go through
Right.
Miles Standish, because it's quicker to get to 495.
So if they put a light, you're going to then go down her street to get to 490?
That's right.
Well, there's going to be a light at one end of my street already, right?
That's right.
the first one going in. So can I ask you, in your review of Norton, have you, identified any potential challenges coming here?
There are several challenges. Connecting into the sewer system is one that we think we can get resolved based on the discussions and the support we've had from the state and from the town. So that was a significant one to be clear about. There's some other items. There are solar panels on the roof of the building, for example, and we don't yet understand all the commitment around those because we haven't been provided with the information about the contract there. But most of the requirements we're satisfied with, and we believe that these couple of things I mentioned are resolvable. So we believe this works, otherwise we wouldn't have come forward.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I can, just for transparency, I'm on the Industrial Development Commission as well, and one of the things that we've heard from people is, the access to sewer lines and
Right.
septic, so it's, I think that's something that we all understand and appreciate, and certainly, however we can help in that process.
Right. Yeah, and
we would.
Right, and we have a way of solving that. We just need confirmation that it can be done that way, which isn't quite 100%, but we believe it can be.
Okay, before I move to get a motion regarding a town meeting, I'm going to invite our representatives to speak, because I hate to see them sit there and not say something.
I can't believe it's been so long.
I'm going to go first?
Well, we'll go together.
Okay.
We had the opportunity before the meeting to speak with the gentleman, and it sounds like quite an interesting, especially some of the products that he explained, life-saving and life-changing products. I think a company like this here in Norton will also help to put Norton on the map as a bio area. One thing he did not discuss was the infusion of money just in the building permits, and I think Michael would probably have a better idea of how much would be coming in just on that alone, plus all the construction jobs that it will encounter. We've had very good luck in Norton. If you look at the industrial park, whether it be Horizon or Penske or even the weather station, they've been very good neighbors, and as companies that have come in, been very involved within the community. And I think this is a company that would follow suit of the fine companies that Norton has attracted. And it's a feather in Norton's cap, I think, if we can get them to come into the city or the town. And I know, speaking for Jay, from our standpoint, we'll do everything that we can from a state level, if anything is needed from us, to facilitate their moving into Norton. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen was so subdued. I'm wicked excited. Having the opportunity to sit with Mark and Sharon for 20 minutes or so and learn about the business, what a wonderful opportunity. And it's something that many have dreamed, that we would become a biomanufacturer. When Annapolis came, I was wicked excited then too, because it meant a couple hundred jobs. It meant somebody that could help shore up our efforts within the school system around STEM. We've had an investment, I think it was probably 9 years ago, at Wheaton with the Mars Science Center for some $50 million. We're working with Bridgewater State. They've got a facility in Attleboro. We've got a robust Southeastern Regional Votech School. We talked a little bit, the gentleman from Thermo is on the Mass Bioed committee. They're working hard to create a workforce. I think back to the years when, Attleboro was the jewelry manufacturer and Taunton was the Silver City. There you go. And so if we can land the second one, I see the third, the fourth, the fifth coming in, and really a transformation in our commercial base, tax revenue. We can work around the issues on, South and North Washington Street. The Commerce Park up on Bay Road, the state has invested millions to create the intersection that some of us like and some of us don't. But it does handle the flow, and it moves pretty well during the day. And again, what I thought was pretty important was this is going to be 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, and so you're going to have a spread of that traffic. And it'd be interesting to note that this particular building, if I'm not mistaken, was the first TIF that was approved in Norton back in 2002, maybe 3. So we had great success. I know some remember Horizon Beverage coming in with a promise that they were going to add 600,000 square feet to an already huge building and be a good community partner, and that was a promise they kept. Anilum is coming along fast and furious. That's been fantastic. And again, the sewer issue is going to be a challenge, but I think it can be overcome because what it will do is it'll also preserve what you folks in Norton have invested in with a regional sewer facility that you'll get to keep that flow, and this is going to go towards Taunton. So I think it's a win-win. I have to congratulate Mike. I did share some of your news with the Chamber of Commerce, who has been extremely supportive over the years to reach out to their the businesses, the members, to ask for their support, at town meeting, asked to meet the folks at Brammer and reach out, because I think we can all make it together better. So really, really excited about this, or as I said at the outset, wicked excited, if we can get this done. Hopefully the time frame will work for everybody. And we haven't even got to the IDC yet, so if we keep pulling this off, let's not meet. But congratulations that Norton is on the map. And when you get a company like Anilum and Thermo to come in, that is huge. And it'll make the third one that much easier. And you've got a great reputation earned as such for being business friendly. You've got the equalized tax rate, you've held steady, and you've stayed strong. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no one else has any comments or questions. Chair will entertain a motion to call for a special town meeting on August 26th.
So moved.
I would say at the high school auditorium at 7 p.m.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
On the obnoxious? Yeah. No, we got it.
Now, we have to vote to accept the town manager's ethics disclosure.
I know, that's why I clarified.
You want me to read it?
No, I'll just,
I know where you live.
Yeah.
okay. Has everyone read Mr. Unit's ethics
No.
disclosure? Basically, it's letting you know that his son, Terrence, is a part-time employee at the Norton Public Library. And where Mr. Units deals with library funds and things like that, he's disclosing the fact that he has a relative who could be impacted by his decisions.
Chairman?
Yes.
Make a motion that we accept the town manager's ethics disclosure as presented.
Second.
Everyone had all those, is there any discussion? If not,
Second.
Was this fully posted position open to anybody?
Say that again.
The position, was it fully posted? open
Yeah,
to anybody?
I don't have any hiring authority in the library, so they post their positions, they do their own hiring, and I don't have any say in how they spend their money either. We just approve a bottom line to give them, and they decide how they spend their money.
Okay.
any other questions? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting town manager's ethics disclosure?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion on remote participation in the town meeting, I believe.
Yeah, I just provided you with some guidelines that Copeland and Page had worked on before on remote participation. And, you know, if you just want to talk about why you'd like to see it, and then I would reach out to other boards and committees in town to see if there is any interest with the other boards and committees in town for remote participation. So, and we would work with Copeland and Page in anything that we develop to make sure we're meeting the.
Mike, are there guidelines in here that they talk about, like a certain percentage? I mean, you know, if you have an open meeting and you're broadcasting and we have one person in the room? Quorum requirements? Yeah, sure, it's double-sided.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Norton Town meeting has no quorum
Well,
requirement.
this would be for like.
For us.
The Board of Selectmen. If you wanted to do remote participation, you still would need 3 members here
Okay.
in order to call a meeting.
So that would be for all committees or
Yeah.
boards?
And I've seen it done in Mansfield.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
But currently, as with the telecommunications here in town, we're really not set up for it, correct?
Right. We,
But we can when we get the new town hall.
Well,
I mean,
I-
what are the requirements, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have a Polycom and,
Do we have a Polycom?
yes.
No.
So I would check,
But
I'll
in
check
here,
and
yeah.
see what
Have
requirements
to run it
are,
up here.
and get back to you on that. But we do have that. We haven't figured out how to use, no. We just got
do
it.
that. I mean, it mentions video conference too, right? And there are a lot of conferencing tools out there as well.
Right, but,
I mean, that may be more difficult, but yeah.
exactly, because, you know, you don't, at this point, we don't have Norton-issued technology.
Right.
And so you don't want this to be public record.
For a video conference?
I would say,
Wouldn't hold any data on it, right?
I don't know, I think if you use it, that would be my concern about it, just at this
Yeah.
point, you know, I would be concerned about opening up to, you know, any issues around surrounding that.
And it is interesting, if you look at the reasons, it says you can't do it just for convenience. Acceptable reasons for participating remotely include one or more of the following: personal illness, personal disability, emergency, military service, or geographic distance. And what I'll do is I'll check with
No.
see what towns do it and how they do it, what their parameters are, and get some information for you.
Was geographic distance defined?
I know, that's,
I wonder how they measure it.
Right,
If you're
No,
on the
but-
phone.
like if I'm on a couch?
No, I don't think it's if you're within the town, but like when
Right.
when I was on vacation a month ago, right, and it was, my vacation ended up being extended, so I couldn't make it, it would have been nice to be able to dial in and participate in the meeting.
I'm just wondering, unless the person has a GPS chip in their phone, and we have access to check it, how do you,
How do you police it? I think,
how do you monitor distance?
Right.
I don't know that you do have to monitor it, do you? I mean,
Well,
that's something we'd have to consider.
right. So, I guess it's something to read and educate ourselves on.
And I'll get you whatever information I can find from other communities.
And who said Mansfield? Peter, did you say Mansfield's doing it?
Mansfield, yeah.
They have that nice speaker system in their room, though, too. I mean, they even address executive session in this.
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity for us to do this. So any information that we can get that, if we can leverage best practices from others, and even understand, Mike, if you can ask like what challenges they've run into.
Okay.
Is this, did you do this, the remote participation surveys? It's like on page 4.
I don't know if the date's correct. but
Yeah, it was a
says
while
was
ago.
2012, so.
Oh, then I have to imagine our numbers are probably much higher now.
Yep. That was 7 years ago we looked at it.
And then nothing, do you know why nothing happened from that point?
I don't.
Because we were probably all technologically challenged like I am. It was just too confusing.
Yep, this town hall is stuck in the 80s, right?
Yes.
On a good day.
Any other questions? Or otherwise, just,
No, can we expect to see something at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay, I'll just kind of take it under advisement, and I'll actually
Yeah.
go home and read this, so maybe I'll understand.
And Mike, you're going to do 2 things. One is see what other towns may be doing, as well as ping our local committees and see who would be interested in it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Before we go to old business, could we go back to licenses and permits? We have an application by Barbara Ivy for a one-day beer and wine license for a private event at the Everett Leonard Park on August 24th, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if no one has any questions, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the application of Barbara Ivy for one-day beer and wine license for a private event at the Everett Leonard Park on August 24th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Deli?
Aye.
Ms. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty?
Yes.
I also vote yes. We also have a application by Fatima Watt for a one-day beer and wine license for a private event at the Everett Leonard Park on August 3rd, 2019, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Does anyone have any questions, concerns? If not, the Chair will entertain a motion to approve the application of Fatima Watt for a one-day beer and wine license for a private event at the Everett Leonard Park on August 3rd from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Ms. Deli? Ms. Steele?
Aye.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Announcements. Ms. Conway?
All right. I think we just have the one, it looks like. Two. There is an electronics recycling event Saturday, August 3rd from 9 to 2 p.m. at St. Mary's Church, 1 Power Street. There's a breakdown of this is a pay to dispose of, $5 for computers, DVD players, and whatnot. All towns welcome, rain or shine. Nothing goes to a landfill, and cash or check are available, accepting any and all electronics and appliances.
Have utilized that in the past. It's very convenient. And I don't know if they're doing it this time. A lot of times they'll take used bicycles also. You have to check on the sign.
They
have
say
a
no
sign.
charge for cell phones,
Says it.
bikes, car, or truck batteries. So looks like they do take bicycles.
Anything else?
We do have a notice that Tricentennial Park will be closed for the week beginning Monday, August 5th, to allow for the demolition of the Sylvan Campbell House at 217 West Main Street. So I've been out there, there's, I think there's already some signs going up that it'll be closed for the week.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Mr. Farrar, do you have anything?
Nope. Well said, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Steele?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Deli? Mr. Unit?
I'm
Just,
sorry, what are we on?
no,
Notice, announcements, if you have any announcements.
No, sorry.
I just want to remind everyone, there'll be a public hearing on August 15th at 7 PM in the Norton Public Library Community Room. And the purpose of the hearing, this is put on by Mass Department of Transportation, and it's to give everyone the opportunity to become fully acquainted with the proposed Norton-Mansfield Rail Trail Extension Project. So if anyone is available, can go to that meeting and provide them with comments.
It's August 15th at 7.
August 15th.
And where was that?
Library Community Room at 7.
Okay. Old business, discussion on the Leonard Street improvements.
Just, Condyne and their engineer couldn't be here tonight, but I know Keith and I have been working on this. You gave the approval previously for Condyne to repave the road and widen a foot or two on either side of the road. And as part of that, there's some culverts out there that Keith wanted them to improve. But unfortunately, we're running into an issue with, we're taking existing culverts and we're trying to improve on them. We're not putting in new culverts. And we're trying to get this point across with conservation, because one of the culverts right now is a 22-inch round corrugated metal pipe. And conservation wants that replaced with a 22-foot culvert. And we cannot put in a 22-foot culvert because there's a water main there that cannot be dropped. There's a gas main in the area. As the road commissioners, if you'd like, on the 8th, I can bring in Condyne and their engineers to talk to you about it, and I know Conservation is meeting on the 12th. So right now, we could do the road and leave that corrugated metal pipe to collapse at some point, or we could improve it and put in a 6-foot wide box culvert. But 22 feet, we just can't do that.
Right now, Condyne's gonna come in, they're putting traffic lights up at East Main and Leonard Street. They're gonna reclaim the road, they're gonna widen it probably 1 foot on each side because you can't go too much more because of the wetlands. And, it sounds like it's gonna be a good project, but all I asked them was, can you put new pipes in them? Our corrugated pipes are 1 foot, they're probably 50 years old, and they're gonna rot out, and the guys, he agreed with it. And so we came down, and they put a 1-foot pipe, they said they'd put a 30-inch, actually it's 36-inch pipe in the ground, so it's like 3 times the size of that 1-foot pipe. The roads never never got flooded out. All those rain, it never flooded out from Leonard Street. And the last one, it was a 22-inch pipe, and he recommended to put I think it was an 8-foot, I thought. They were gonna put it like that. Well, the outside's 8 foot, its inside's like 6 foot. So you're going to 6 foot, you got a 22-inch pipe to 6 foot. I mean, that's reasonable, and it's concrete, it'll be done. We won't have to worry about replacing nothing. And a 22-foot culvert is almost as big as the Plain Street Bridge they just put in. I mean, and that's a huge, that's a river. I don't understand, and I try to talk to them and reason with them, and they said that's the way it is by their calculations, and that's what you gotta go by. Well, it's not a new road, they're just helping us upgrade the stuff we have there. And I don't know where to go with this, you know, and now they're stuck.
Steele?
Mr. Chairman, Keith, is the option do it their way or leave it at this point?
That's what it's gonna come down to.
So actually, you know, sometimes we get caught in the middle of, you know, boards and different boards. So my take on this is I don't think we really need Condyne to come in and explain what they were doing, because I think you just explained it to us very well. I think what we really need is just to have a full conversation with Keith and the Conservation Commission, find out what their reasoning is, and offer them one more opportunity to say, we do it our way or leave it the way it is. I don't know why anybody would agree to leave it the way it is. Otherwise, I think we're in an awkward position, but I don't think dragging Condyne in here
I agree with you.
would help the situation. I think this is more of a
Well, I think the road commissioner should be working with conservation too.
Yeah.
I've already tried to talk to him, and I've already said, no, that's the way, you're gonna do it this way or no way. So I think we have to come, it's, like I say, it's existing, we're upgrading it, but we're not gonna upgrade it to that standards. I mean, we can leave it.
It should be grandfathered.
I have a pipe right down Linden Street, down the road a little more, that has a suck hole in it, and I patched it. I have to replace that pipe. If I have to go by these standards, it won't be done for 3 years. I'll have to get it engineered, and I can do it in 8 hours. It's gonna take me 3 years to get it done. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna upgrade it. I'm gonna put the same, probably a little larger pipe in there, but it'd be cement. Get rid of the corrugated. I've done it for years. Now, all of a sudden, you gotta go by this calculation they got, and it's ridiculous.
Well, they're operating under Mass DEP regulations, right? I mean, I think we need to hear from them on why the standards have changed, and maybe there's a legitimate reason, and figure out what are the options. If it's not feasible to put in a 22-foot pipe, then we have to figure out, well, what are the other options?
Yeah. I mean,
And what happens
sometimes
if
you
we
fight
leave-
them.
What happens if we leave it and we don't do anything?
Just wait till it collapses, I guess, but, I mean, it's crazy not to fix it while we're doing the road.
No, I agree with you on
You
that.
know, I'd like to say, I don't know, I'd like to ask Mike, I said, maybe we can call Boston and get some kind of
Well,
help.
we'll look into that to see, talk to Boston DEP and talk to them about if it's an improvement project, not a new project. I mean, under a new project, obviously, the 22-foot would be what's required. But it's not a new project. It's just an improvement project. So we'll have to check and see. I'll get you that information, and then if anyone's available to go to the conservation on the 12th, we'll be there. And
Well, I think the first step is get clarification
Yep.
from Boston.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if it's, to me,
Well,
it
why
seems,
wouldn't we get clarification from our folks first?
because supposedly they're using the Boston rules. So I want to find out from what the requirement, if,
So I would put that, I guess I'm just saying, I would put that onus on them, right? They're responsible for it, so put the onus back on them to say, well, get clarification from Boston and come back to us.
I don't care, it's just that,
well, the only reason Jen's on vacation, so she won't be here next week. So rather than wait, we'll try and get you the info.
I mean, I just think we're just looking for clarification if the rules are the same for replacement versus new. I don't think it's important either way who contacts them. My personal opinion, but I'm just one.
I just think it's their responsibility. I mean, we appointed them for a purpose,
Well, we are road commissioners as well.
but we are.
We're road commissioners as well.
Mhm.
So I think, I agree with Brad. I think let's get the information and.
I mean, even if it's just to educate us.
Right.
A 22-foot culvert is not gonna fit. It's not,
Well, I get that. I think next time what we need to do too is if you're gonna come here to talk about something that conservation is saying, we need to have conservation present. I mean, there's nothing that we can do in this situation. We don't have the expertise, so let's just make that, a mental note next time, that if we're gonna talk about some sort of limitation or requirement that they're telling you, let's have somebody here so they can speak to it.
Well, yeah, that's the way I heard, it from them is, they don't care, move the water main, and that's the rules, is a 22-foot culvert, and was their final answer. But I don't know if you have somewhere in Boston we can talk to them, maybe they can help us.
Again, we have half the story, so try to get the information however we can, and let's just make sure that if we're gonna hear this again next meeting, that both sides are represented. I don't think that's a difficult ask for them to come here and talk to it.
Well, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would like to have conservation and just to ask them questions. It seems that this is not the first time that they've made a ruling that has rubbed people the wrong way and escalated a conversation to kind of go around them. I think Renee is right. I think they are a board of the town, and we should have a conversation with them to understand. Even if they come back and say exactly what you're saying, Keith.
No, that's why I asked, that's why I'm here, so you guys, someone could probably go there with us.
Okay.
So go ahead and get the information from Boston DEP, and let's just plan on having them present at our next meeting.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you, Keith. Town managers report.
I think I shared with you, I want to thank the police department for going out to Juniper Beach to talk with some of the residents in the area. And one of the suggestions in there was looking at removing the boulders, so I just want to ask the board if that's something they want to move forward with. I'll notify people on Juniper Road that that's something that you're interested in, and ask them I could ask them to attend the meeting on the 8th if they want to talk about it and have any concerns or questions.
So, Mike, do we have confirmation too? Because I had a conversation separate, obviously, from this, about those boulders being placed there and essentially being placed there for somebody's own personal preference. Is that confirmed? I mean, should those boulders not be in that roadway? Should the roadway proceed down to the beach area?
Yeah, that's what your take is. All I've ever heard, that it was just something, nobody knows why it was done or how it was done. And the rumor always was that one person didn't want that
Right.
road open and put the boulders up. So, I think if we send a letter to everybody on that road and tell them that you're going to discuss it on the 8th, it'll give them the opportunity, if they have
Yeah.
concerns about them being pulled out,
Right.
see what happens.
Yeah, let the neighborhood pretty much guide us in what their preference is.
Yeah. Does Keith have any, oversight of that in respect to, the roadway or anything? Or
I
no?
don't know, I mean,
I wonder, right, somebody puts boulders there, so it stops any sort of snow plowing, right, that we would do in the area. So, who would be also involved in that? Because it's going
well,
to
I mean,
change.
It's going to be, I'm not 100% sure of the location of the boulders. I assume he doesn't plow beyond it.
Right.
No, you can't. They're
So-
literally put, if you
That's what I
drive down
mean.
the road to try to get to the beach, they're literally across the road. You can't do it. I mean, you're
Yeah.
stopping traffic.
So I mean, we can check with Keith, but I think the only connection Keith's going to have is he's going to be the one that's going to pick them up if we tell him to. Yes, Peter?
Yes, I'm on the way to the town hall. I was running, as I were leaving the school, I saw the boulder.
What about the other things addressed in here in respect to the no parking signs, the other signage for the waterways?
The Water Bodies Committee put up signs around the reservoir, and somebody is putting them up on Winnicott also. Do you know, did they put them up on Winnicott?
I'm not sure, I didn't have time to run by there.
Okay. Yep.
There's no place to do on barrels,
Yeah.
so they couldn't do anything there. And no access on Charlie anyway, so.
Yeah.
but I personally did 3 signs with Dave.
Okay,
And they would never get through.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Can you just repeat that into the,
Yep.
what Carol said?
So the Water Bodies Committee put up signs around the reservoir, especially on Juniper Beach. They did put them up there in Chartley. Barrows,ville they have not. There was nowhere really to put them up down there. And I know they are looking at putting them up on Winnicott also.
So, but, Renee, did you get an answer on the no parking signs that are, I don't know if it comes
I did
across as a
not.
recommendation or an idea, where you draw the line there?
Yeah, that is a conversation I'd like to have with the residents of the road too, because if we're going to be putting no parking signs in front of their houses,
It impacts them.
It might not just be the trucks or the vehicles towing boats. It might, if they have a party, it might be their visitors that can't park there either.
Right.
Are there limits now of who can park there or what type of, I mean, it's typically something that can tow a boat, right? Or some sort of like a jet ski or something?
Yeah,
So you
there's-
have like vehicle and trailer?
Well, I mean, I don't believe I mean, anybody can park there. There's no restrictions, as far as I know.
But typically, yeah, I think you're,
Yeah.
and maybe others who are joining in that didn't tow the boat, but will be on it.
Would it be possible to get like a fiberboard map of that area for the meeting, so we can kind of point to things and have the residents engage with that rather than talking abstractly?
Yeah.
That would be very good.
Pictures would be nice.
Yeah.
In color. Maybe displayed on the screen, because I think, is this the road? And the boulders are here, I can't tell. I don't know if you recognize that photo or not. Okay.
and I'll let the Water Bodies Committee know that it'll be on the agenda on the 8th. I'll also let the Water Bodies Committee know that it'll be on the agenda on August 8th in case anyone wants to come.
Can't tell. Any other questions?
Just one, any comments, Mike, on the Mansfield Avenue information?
What,
Like it just says, after visiting, going to the property, walking down the water, you observe the property be kept in poor manner. Upon initial view of the building, it reads on the front door, Norton Parks and Recreation. However, due to residential apartment within the building, property looks more like a private residence than a town building. So is the expectation there that it is a town building? And should people have the ability to access?
it's owned by the town and the house is rented out.
So should it be public access there down to the water?
There is
There
public
is.
access to
Yep.
the water.
Right, and so it sounds like,
That's where Norton Kayak parks the cars,
Yeah.
and they have a trailer back there that they store their kayaks in.
so I guess is it posted that people can go down there?
It used to be, I think it was more visible when Ella Beam was there.
Yeah.
Because they had their signage out front.
Right.
I think
And then
Norton
once they
Kayak
left,
might have a
there's a
sign
small
over.
They do, it's
kayak
yeah,
sign.
the yellow and blue.
I mean, we could always put up like a kayak, canoe access
Mhm.
sign, whatever. It had been more visible, I think, in past
Yeah.
years than it is now.
Okay.
So what other options do we have for a public boat launch that's not Juniper Beach?
I'll check with Fish and Game. We haven't heard back from them yet, but they did come out last year, and they went around the reservoir, and then they were going out taking measurements of different areas. Unfortunately, where we have the house, it's too shallow there to put in if they put in a boat ramp, they want it to be a boat ramp. They don't just want an access ramp for canoes. They want boats to be able, power boats to be able to go out there. So they need a deeper area.
The the lagoon that the Pino family
Mhm.
gave us, is that,
No.
okay.
And they also looked at the property, I still say Sangs, what is it now?
Jasmine Gardens.
Jasmine Gardens. The problem there is, such a dangerous curve. If they use that area right before Jasmine Gardens and had a ramp there, it's just too dangerous pulling out of there, especially if you're pulling a boat. Cars come around that corner. So they were looking at different areas, and I'll contact them and see if they've come up with anything that they could use.
Could we put signage or a speed bump or something there to warn people of the blind drive?
No, it's a state highway. It's Route 140.
So the issue is more if they have something in tow trying to get out, because I mean, that area is used right by people who are going to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you go in the restaurant, you pull out the other side, which is further away from the curb. If they were gonna buy that land off of Jasmine Gardens for a boat ramp, Jasmine Gardens would not want people from there cutting through their parking lot to get out. So it would have to be a separate in and out.
Yeah, otherwise we could ask to have it, just an entrance there and, one-way traffic.
Right.
We could force them to go out the other entrance, but if the state's gonna put a ramp in, they're gonna wanna own the land.
Who owns the land now?
Jasmine Gardens.
Jasmine Gardens.
To, like, access to the water is
Yeah.
theirs?
Yeah.
Yeah, years ago, that used to be Freight's Ice Cream, and that water there was actually a beach down below the cement retaining wall there.
Mm.
And then the vegetation kind of took over.
Right.
So Mike, you said the property on Mansfield Ave is too shallow for a proper boat ramp. Is it possible to dredge it out and make it one?
I don't think so.
Can we?
We asked them that, and
We know water.
they actually took depth, they checked the depth further out, and it's not like you
Doesn't
go out
drop.
a little bit and it drops off.
So it's like your
Yeah,
beach.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Long and flat.
Were there any other boat ramps, like, in the past that maybe have been abandoned and same thing, vegetation over them?
Not that I'm aware of. No, they've always gone in over on the beach. It's the only access that I know of they've ever had to the reservoir.
Hmm.
I mean, the only other property is the property on the other side of the reservoir along 140 before you get to Jasmine Gardens, across from the Norton Liquor Store.
Yeah.
That, I believe, is deep, but we don't own it. I believe Keith owns that. Keith Silver owns that property.
I thought the kayak store was across from the liquor store.
Mm-mm.
No? Why am I off?
No,
Yeah,
there's,
Keith said
there's,
he'd sell it to us.
yeah, I'm sure Keith would sell it to you, but there's a building set way back on the lot, in the wood, like a wooded area, but it's right next to, I think it's Midway Collision Center now.
Oh, yeah.
I had to update my mind, because it was always arenas.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Jack already read the notice on the Campbell House, so that's basically the update that people should be aware. Probably, the park will probably be closed could be for a week as they work on that. Just update on the pond treatment. I did hear back from the Water Bodies Committee, and they did look at Barrowsville Pond and agreed that it's really not worth spending the money to clean Barrowsville Pond. One, it's very costly for a pond that gets very limited use, and two, the owner of the former Twee factory owns that dam, and they don't want to be taking care of that dam, so at some point, we could be applying for a grant to take that dam out, and the pond would be gone. and by not treating Barrowsville Pond, that would have been $190,000 in treatment cost, $190,750 from now until the end of June 2021. So it'll provide money for treatment on the other ponds. And I did hear from the consultant that they didn't have to treat Winnicott this year. The treatment worked so well that they haven't had to treat it this year, so hopefully that continues. And they are going to work on the reservoir, pulling out some, I'll use the wrong term when I talk about, I just think weeds, but they are hand harvesting, pulling some things out of the pond. And
Mike, when you talk about treatments, is this just from like bacterial or environmental, whatever, growth there? Or is
No,
this-
it's the Winnicott and the reservoir were both overgrown with different water species of plants. And I think it was 3 years ago, we started a treatment plan to treat them with algicides.
Okay.
And a lot of it, I think, had to do with probably fertilizer runoffs into the ponds.
Right, right.
That allowed the plants to completely, I mean.
Yeah, they take over.
Well, a couple of years ago, if you went by the Winnicott, the only pot that was not green was the very center, probably about the size of this room.
Mhm.
And everything else was just weeds. Aquatic plants. I guess if you like them, they're not weeds, but to the boaters, they were weeds. And so we started the treatment plan with different herbicides that they had to go through all kinds of environmental authorizations. And it's just been one year after another treating them, and they finally cleared the water. And then was it the water chestnuts? They actually have to go down and harvest those.
Yeah.
So, it's still,
Mike, because they're not doing Barrowsville, and because they didn't need to do the second treatment, does that mean we have money left over in that fund?
we should have money to continue
Okay.
the treatments for, I'll look at how long we can stretch it, how many years.
Yeah, right, yeah, because I'd love
I'll
to
let
see
you know.
like a long-term
Yep.
plan for that, because my biggest fear is that we've invested all this money and, 6 years from now, we've got growth coming back or whatever, because we didn't maintain it, because we ran out of money.
Yep.
yeah.
It's the phosphate
I just want to see that, I want to see that, I just want to protect that, the water bodies, now that the group has done such a good job on it.
That's it.
That's it. Selectmen's report and mail. Ms. Flaherty?
What's that, Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Conway?
I have a few things. One, sorry, I didn't mention this when Dinah was here, but the PBC had asked for copies of the invoices related to the feasibility studies. Per their bylaws, they're supposed to review any invoices that come in, they approve them, and then they go to the town for payment. They haven't seen anything yet, so to update their records, they would like to have that available. So that's something that we can get.
She
them.
has them.
Yeah.
She's got them now? Okay, great, thank you, Mike. And the other piece I have is, don't want to get into specifics, but in terms of when citizen complaints come in about whatever, what is the process for acknowledging or responding back, even if it's to say, we received this, however, it's not within our purview to react in any way? So, we've been copied on a complaint recently that the individual is rather upset that it hasn't been, I guess, formally acknowledged.
Can we speak with this in private?
Sure.
Only because I don't want to get into specifics myself, and I'm not sure if I understand completely, but I'd be glad to speak to you one-on-one on how I would handle it.
Sure, I believe it went to all of us.
It did.
So I think the question is, if a complaint comes in, does it get acknowledged, like, is there not a policy, but a guideline for how it is to be dealt with? Because I think right now, the perception is it goes into a void with no response or acknowledgement back. And I think that's the wrong message to send to the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this something we need to seek legal advice on? I mean,
Well, I mean, if
a
it's a,
complaint to a member of an appointed board, right?
I don't want to get into any specifics as to what the complaint was, because I
Yeah,
think that's not the intent. It's more just, I think we owe it to the community to respond back in some somewhat meaningful way, even if it's to say, we can't do anything, but yes, we thank you for
Well-
your concern.
I mean, if it's got to do with policy, we can take care of it. If it has to do with a day-to-day operation, we should forward it to the person who's responsible.
Okay.
I don't, and like I said, I received so many emails, and
Okay.
so I can't speak of specifics and give you this is what I would do,
Okay.
or this is what I think should be done.
Okay.
But I'd be glad to speak one-on-one with you.
Sure. We'll do that after this.
Okay.
And I'm all set.
That's Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Kelly?
That was my only item as well, because we've been emailed multiple times about it.
Okay. Okay. Warrants and minutes. First, I'm going to apologize for a couple of these. I sat down and figured, like I usually report to you, the big items. I forgot the sheet at home, but I'll email it out to you when I get it, probably tomorrow. Because it's getting so late, I'll probably have to fall asleep before I get down there to the computer. I'd like to have a motion to approve invoice warrant AP 19-53 dated June 28th, 2019, in the amount of $959,619.50.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair would entertain a motion to approve payroll warrant PR 19-27 for the week ended June 29th, 2019. Warrant dated June 29th, 2019, in the amount of $583,168.51.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve payroll warrant PR 19-28 for the period ended June 30th, 2019. Warrant dated June 30th, 2019, in the amount of $38,698.21.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve invoice warrant AP 20-01 dated July 3rd, 2019, in the amount of $1,620,711.22.
So moved.
And, Mr. Chairman, you don't know what this is, but this is.
This is one that I will email it to you. There were several things. From memory, one of the large things was a payment to the teacher retirement, Bristol County Teachers Retirement Fund.
And that comes through an invoice warrant?
Yeah,
Okay.
but this, I know that this was one of the warrants that I made an explanation, and I've got a copy. It's sitting right in my mail slot at home. I don't know why
Okay.
you can't see it.
Yeah, no, I just because we have two that are, I mean, this one's above $1 million, the other one's close to $1 million, both invoice warrants, that's what I
Right.
was wondering.
And I know one of the, I believe, I don't want to even tell you, but I know in here there is a large payment for retirement of debt, which I think it might be the first one, where I think $900,000 was just debt retirement, long-term debt retirement, and there was only like $50,000 that was expenses. But, like I said, I will send that out to you.
Okay. Is there a way, like, can we change the process a bit so we can actually see what these are?
Well, You'd have to come in weekly to see the
I mean, I
warrants.
think if we're asked to approve them, we should have some insight into what they are.
And I apologize,
No, I know, but I mean, I don't want to put the onus all on
Well,
you
well, it's just
to
that-
inform the board.
previously, several years ago, you would have had, 3 people would have had to sign these. And then it got to the point where, especially on vacations, it was hard to get 3 people in here. We went to, they've modernized town government and allowed us to authorize 1 person to sign for the board, in which case I'm doing that, and Mike is the alternate if I can't make it.
And I think technically you don't even have to vote on it. Brad just has to give a report about what he signed.
So,
Then I would be fine with just the report then. I mean,
well, basically, this is the report. But, like I said, I'll send you the, I just have to scan it and I'll send it out to you.
I think, I agree with Renee, I think having like just an Excel file that's attached behind the cover sheet with the line item of what it is, just so we can peruse, because I agree, I think,
Well, it's
especially
just-
when you get to one that's almost $5 million, it's, because, and I agreed, the owner shouldn't be on you, if you guys agree or not.
Well, the $5 million one, I'm going to give you a list.
Okay.
I have that one. So we've done, did we complete the, okay, we have a motion, but no second, on AP 20-01.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that unanimous? I assume it is. Chair will entertain a motion to approve a payroll warrant, PR 20-01, dated July 3rd, 2019, in the amount of $88,943.75.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair will entertain a motion to approve invoice warrant AP 20-02 dated July 11th, 2019, the amount of $196,348.83.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair will entertain a motion to approve payroll warrant, PR 20-02, dated July 18th, 2019, the amount of $809,132.05.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve invoice warrant, AP 20-03, dated July 18th, 2019, in the amount of $192,578.53.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Chair will entertain a motion to approve invoice warrant AP 20-04 dated July 25th in the amount of $4,980,114.88.
So moved, but just for the record, it's $4,890,1148 and 88 cents.
Okay.
You switched the 98.
Okay. Of that, $2.9 million was paid to the Bristol County Retirement System. $550,000 was insurance policies for buildings and liability. $92,000 was the school lunch program. $297,000 was for the school windows. And $482,000 was for the water department maturing debt.
So Brad, is the school windows, is that another one under the permanent building committee that should be looking at it?
Per the bylaws, yes, that should be.
I'm not really sure if the school Did the windows go through that?
It should.
It should have, but did it?
It did not.
It did not, and I actually, the chair of the Permanent Building Committee and Dr. Bayetta have been in contact, that when he returns from vacation, they'll have a conversation to make sure that they're engaged where they should be.
Okay.
But I would ask that we make sure that they see whatever expenses have occurred thus far, and then get them in the process to look at these prior to them coming to us.
Okay. Okay, we had a motion and a second, an explanation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we've had sent to us the minutes of June 27th, 2019, June 27th, 2019, the executive session, and July 9th, 2019. Unless anyone has any questions, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 27th, 2019 meeting, the June 27th, 2019 executive session, and the July 9th, 2019 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an alternate motion where we're approving the minutes of June 27th, 2019, and the July 9th, 2019 meetings, exclusive of the June 27th, 2019 executive session.
Okay. There's a second for that?
A second.
Okay, discussion? Oh, I didn't know if there was a reason.
The executive session minutes refer to legal action that's ongoing. So
Okay.
we thought maybe
Okay, very good point.
Yeah, it might not be.
it might be premature to.
Yeah, very good point. So we have approval of the regular meeting minutes of June 27th and July 9th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll hold off on the June 27th executive session. Okay, next meeting date, August 8th, 2019. And I'm sure everybody will let me know if you want something on the agenda. Is there any other business to come before the board? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.